loves. Well, so welcome to TT's Urban Pantry. And I am here, I guess you could say, on location. I am down at Purdue University in Lafayette, Indiana, and I am taking a mastering home food preserving class, and this is day 2 of it. So I just kind of wanted to do a recap of yesterday when I said that I was going to ask a couple of questions and see if I can get some answers. Hi, Catherine. Thanks for joining me. So I asked your question. I believe it was about canning chicken livers. Is that correct? Was it you that asked me about canning chicken livers? So I'm just going over my pages and everything that I have. So I had said that yesterday in the class we went over food and safety, so you can safely can and preserve your home foods. And we also did pressure canning in class. Today, day 2, we only did water bath canning in class. So yes, that was you. So you had asked me if you can chicken liver. And I know my husband likes gizzards, so I asked him, I was like, can you do liver and or gizzards? And what she told me was if you don't see a recipe for it, there is no proven recipe that you can chicken livers or gizzards. So the answer is no. And I went for myself. So I went to I'm actually going to put it up here so you can check it out yourself. So I just copied it into the chat. It's called the National Center for Home Food Preservation. And if I am ever in doubt, this is my go-to. And they've talked a lot about this website in my class, so I actually felt kind of good, gave myself a little pat because I was like, I already know that website. But let's see, if I go there, so on the website, it has all your methods of food preservation. So it has canning, freezing, dehydrating, fermenting, and smoking. So if I go to the canning section and I go down to where it says preparing and canning poultry, I click on that. It has a disclaimer on the top of the page. And it says there are no safe options for canning these foods listed below in boiling water canner. So you have to pressure can them. And these are all meats that are listed below. We cannot supporting the canning of cured, brined, or corned meats with the procedures for fresh meats. We can only recommend canning meats, poultry, and seafood as described in the following recommendations. So then it has it broken down into poultry, which is chicken and turkey. And then it even has a recipe for rabbit stock, but it also has some stock going on there. It has the recipe that we did yesterday, which is chili con carne. And I said yesterday, I think I'm going to do a video on that one. And then it's just saying flesh, or not flesh, just the meat, no organs. Minced pie filling, beef vegetable soup, clams, crab, fish, smoked fish, oysters, and tuna. So you can can all of that. I have never canned any type of seafood. Hey, Black Tropical, thanks for joining. Thanks. I didn't find it on the website either. Only freezing liver. Hey, Amani, thanks for joining. I appreciate you checking your resources at the university. You're welcome. So I was saying this is the big old book got a kind of a glare, that we are going over. And today we did water bath canning. And they actually assigned homework. So I kind of wanted to share some of the things that I took away from this book. I've canned salmon. It comes out deliciously. You need to do a video. So I've kind of messed up my pages. But I took some notes on this. So with water bath canning, they kind of got into how you can safely water bath can foods that are higher in acidity. So it says high acid foods can be water bath canned, while low acid foods must be pressure canned. So your vegetables, your meat are low acid foods, but tomatoes, fruits, berries, those can all be water bath canned. It says the reason for this is that the toxin producing potentially lethal organisms such as botulism will not grow and produce toxins in a pH below 4.6. So that is why it's safe to can certain foods in water bath canning, and other foods you have to process in a pressure canner. For example, asparagus is a vegetable. If you're canning straight asparagus with some water, you have to pressure can that. But if you are pickling asparagus, it's okay because you're adding that vinegar, that brine to it. That brine is what raises the acidity level, which makes it safe for you to pickle in water bath can, but you cannot just do straight water in water bath can. You have to pressure can that. And it's an example of acid foods, fruits, berries, pickles, and sauerkraut. So with sauerkraut is cabbage, and that's fermented cabbage. Sauerkraut is fermented cabbage. So what you would do is you would go through your fermentation process. So it's not cabbage when you get done with it. It's sauerkraut. And then you can the sauerkraut. You cannot safely can cabbage. Don't do it. I don't have a channel. You can get a channel. Just put a video. Catherine Jones Ewing. That's your channel. Rabbit stock. Interesting. I know. We went to the meat market the other day and they had something in there and I thought it was like a turkey leg. It was a whole rabbit. I was like, no, that hurt me. Just knowing there was a rabbit in there. Oh, what they did say, I think this is very important too. So I'll just read this little part right here. Home canning can be a safe way to preserve food. However, changes in the guidelines, new equipment, and food crop varieties make it imperative that the home canners use up-to-date information. So yesterday I had touched and I had said that even Ball recommends if you are using a Ball book, it has been printed after 2017. So 2017, 18, 19. Anything before 2017, Ball doesn't even recommend that. And one thing they said was because of some of the, we've got electric canners now, which wasn't around 10 years ago. And one thing someone said in the class the other day is the pH level in the ground and our soils have changed over years to where 20 years ago, tomatoes used to average this acidity level. But now in 2022, and with all the varieties of tomatoes and some of the what do I want to call it, like the newer varieties that they've put together, and it's a new variety. Those are tend to be more towards the lower level. So that's why, even though tomatoes are fruits, you want to add acid to your tomatoes because you don't know the acidity level in that particular tomato when you're canning it. Let me see if there's anything else in this book. I think that's it for that book. And I purchased 2 books. This one is called So Easy to Preserve. Look how thick this one is. And it is full of recipes. I also noticed that in the back here, kind of has an envelope. I'm not sure what that is for. It has troubleshooting, boiled peanuts. Okay, it looks like all the chapters have envelopes. So maybe that's for like your little recipe card or something. Extracting the juice, reduced sodium pickle recipes, no sugar added pickle recipes, fig pickles, spiced red grapes, canning pie filling, baked beans. You know what? I tried a baked bean recipe years and years ago and I didn't like it. This does not look like it's the same, so maybe I'll try this. I think I'll give that a try, maybe. Fruit salad, tomato paste, mango sauce, lemon curd, apple juice. So that's what's in this book. And then there is another book. I've seen this one. I've looked for this one on Amazon before. And this one is by USDA. So these are all approved recipes. And this has pickled yellow pepper rings. Those are good. We've done those before. Pickled mixed vegetables. Quick fresh pack dill pickles. Potatoes, sweet potatoes. Tomato taco sauce. Whole tomatoes, half tomatoes. So we did half tomatoes in class today. Mango salsa. Spiced crab apples. And then it kind of has some instructions on it. So I've canned cabbage soup, cabbage, celery, peppers, diced tomatoes, onions, and lots of broth, but all vegan. Okay. I don't think that's okay. So what I am going to do is I'm going to the National Center for Home Food Preservation, and I'm going to search, and I'm going to type in cabbage. First thing that comes up, it says freezing cabbage. Then suitable containers, covers, and weights for fermenting. So sauerkraut. Fermenting. Canning relish. 1 quart of chopped cabbage. So in that case, if it's a relish, you are adding vinegar to it. Yes, 3.5 cups of vinegar. So that's okay. Okay, that all says freezing. So I don't see it there. I'm going to look in this book and look in the index. There ain't no index. Okay. Canning vegetables. So I don't see cabbage listed as an in that section. So nothing there. Still looking. I'm looking this book. Okay, so there is a cabbage, and there's 4 categories under cabbage. It says drying, freezing, relishes, and sauerkraut. So I cabbage isn't safe. I tried canning like a cabbage soup once when I was first getting started in canning and had no idea what I was doing. And I canned I think maybe like 4 quarts. And then after it canned, like it was still within the 24 hours, but I had given one to somebody and then we put it up because we were like, this is gonna be good. Um, but after we had canned it, I realized that you can't safely can cabbage. So I had to call my friend's mom and be like, I'm so sorry. You need to eat that or throw it away. And we ate what was theirs. And after that, I never tried canning cabbage again. So I'm sorry, Catherine. At this time, you can't. Hey, hoeing and sewing gardening. I'm late, but what did you say about the processing of jars? Did you ask? I sure did. It's in another book. So it was basically what I said. If you end up over processing, it's not it's not a end all. It's still okay, but you also want to think about the quality of food. So they said your food is going to degrade, and seepage from jars can also get into the canner. So what she said is those those recipes that we use have been tested, and they've been tested to, yep, this is safe, go ahead and take it out, move on to your next step. It's not tested for, yep, this is safe, go ahead and leave it on for another 20 minutes. So you want to be mindful of your time. That's why they always say don't leave, make sure you're close by and everything. That way when your time's up, you can immediately move over to the next step. Because it's just like green beans on the stove. If I take fresh green beans out the garden and I put them on the stove and I go and do something and I come back, yeah, they're still safe, but they might turn to mush. The quality, the nutritional value isn't there anymore because you have cooked all those nutrients out. So yes, it's still safe, but you also want to think about the other factors. So your food's going to start to degrade. So it's not going to be maybe as presentable. The texture might be off, and your nutrients might start to cook out. And also, if you leave your jars in there for too long, they said that the food seepage from the jars into the canner. And I've had that happen where I've looked in the canner and I'm like, I got spaghetti sauce. And she was like, she has heard so many times where people, they're on their last batch and they're done and they just leave it in the canner. And she's like, you can't do that because now it's going to start absorbing water before it's sealed, because it's not sealed when you take it out the canner. So it's going to start absorbing water. And as the water from your canner is coming in, which isn't necessarily clean, because you got the outside of your canner might have food and all that in there. So now as the water from your canner is coming into your jars, your food is also going out of your jar. So it's just a lower quality. So if you can at all help it, try not to over process. Go ahead and stay mindful, stay close to the kitchen and keep an eye on your timer. Hey, Ann, thanks for joining me. That makes sense. Just making sure I gotta be a researcher. It's a candy game. You sure do. You gotta research, cross-reference and everything. So some other things that I have. One thing that they said, and they were like, say it over and over and over and over and over again, is with canning, just because it seals doesn't mean it's safe. Just because I know a lot of times it's easy to say, I can this and it's sealed, it's perfect. But just because it's sealed does not make it safe. Think of it this way. Um, there were times that like I would go grocery shopping and I would have jars in the back of my car, and I would leave those in there because I wasn't canning right then. So they would be in my car a day or two, and as I'm driving, I can hear them. They're sealing because of the heat, and the heat creates a vacuum. So it's like vacuum sealing. They're sealing. Or, you can can water and it seals. The When you're canning, your outcome is not only a sealed jar. You also want to make sure you are preserving. You're preserving your harvest. You're preserving that food so you can eat it later. You want it to be safe, and you want it to seal. Having it sealed and following all those proper guidelines and steps, step by step, and not cutting corners is going to make sure that when you do open that jar, it's top quality. But I don't even have a 100% success rate. If you've seen any of my videos, I do a lot of canning. Pantry is full of stuff. I don't have a 100% success rate, but I know I follow those steps. So when I go to reach into my cabinet, I know in my heart that it's safe because I followed all the right steps. So at the end of the day, just make sure you're following all the right steps. Don't cut corners. YouTube is not, like I said yesterday, YouTube is not the know-all. I can get on YouTube and say, let me make a video and I'm going to show you how to be a millionaire in the next 20 days. But that does not make it real. Just because someone says it, just because someone puts it on YouTube, doesn't make it real, doesn't make it right. Do your own research. So earlier I put up, so in the chat, I just posted, like I said, this is my know all in all, the National Center for Home Food Preservation. So I invite you all to go and check that out if you ever have any questions. And I believe Ann asked a question. Ham broth. No judgment now. So TT, I canned green beans today, cold pack, but I used ham broth for the liquid. So I was nervous because of the meat broth. So I canned to 90 minutes. Would that be fine? Yes. So in that case, and on the National Home Food Preservation, they say when you do that, you have to look at it as a combination recipe. So yeah, you're canning green beans, but you added another element to that. So in that case, you have to can it to the requirements of that element that you added. There are times where I'm canning spaghetti sauce, and my mister does not fail. You got to put some pork fat in that. And I'm like, no, I don't have to put pork fat in that. And he's like, put it in there and just take it out. And I'm like, that is altering the recipe. If I did that, I would have to do it as if I was canning pork fat. And you can't can fat. I would have to use it like a broth. So I would have to, even if I took the pork out of there because of the fat, the grease that the pork has left behind. Now I got to cool down my spaghetti. I got to see if there's a layer of fat on there and skim it all up. Then I got to heat it back up. No. So like when I do my vegetable soup, I can it to the longest ingredient. And I believe off the top of my head, the longest ingredient is either the corn or the mushrooms. And those are like 75 minutes. Even though it has green beans in there, which green beans only take 20 minutes, I have to can it to the longest specified time. So you good. I bet them green beans gonna be good too, though. Camera angle over two, please make and upload a video. I love me some canning videos, y'all. They went over some no-nos today, so I wrote down a couple. They said some no-nos are turning jars upside down. So you process them, you do all your thing, and then you turn them upside down. He said that is a no-no. That can give you a false seal. When you take your jar out of that canner, you leave it alone. You let it do what it's been made to do. So it's going to create a vacuum and suction, and that's what causes the pop. That's why they're in there. So don't tip your jars upside down. Please, please, please don't. Putting towels over them. You can put a towel over them, especially if it's in a drafty place. So I usually put my jars on the island. So if I was canning in the wintertime, because my island is right by my patio door, I would put a jar over it. But don't think that putting a jar over it or putting a towel over it is what makes it seal. Putting a towel over it doesn't do anything. It just stops like the air from hitting it. And like I said, you don't want to have hot jars, cold air, because it could potentially break your jar. Oven canning. They said no. I've seen so many oven canning. No. So they said why you can't oven can is because that hot air, that dry air is not penetrating your foods to kill off the bacteria. Submerging it in water the way we do, excuse me. But submerging it in water the way we do and having that water heat up, that heat is going to penetrate your food. So like, let's say you have a cube of potatoes. Think of it that way. When we pressure can potatoes, the process that we use is going to make sure that the heat gets through the middle of your potato cube to kill the botulism. Dry canning in the oven doesn't do anything but just heats it up. It's not going to kill the botulism. Using noodles or rice or cream soups. They said one thing with the cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, are those have thickeners added to them. And with canning, you can only use approved thickeners. And don't quote me on this. I believe it's called, there is one thickener that you can use for when you are like preserving your pie filling. So I'm looking it up right now. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but that is safe for canning. I actually have a video where I tried to use it, and honestly, I didn't like it. It was so gummy and nasty. I restarted the whole process in the video, and I just canned straight pie filling. But it was just it wasn't right. It wasn't right. So I have it, but I didn't like it. Clear gel, is that it? I think that's it. Yes, it's clear gel. So clear gel is a safe canning thickener. That is the only thickener that you should be used when you're canning. Now, once you open up your jar, add all the thickeners you want, cornstarch, anything. But not before you can, because it can create a clump. And once again, the heat's not able to penetrate that clump, and you're not killing off all your bacteria. But yeah, I tried the clear gel once and I did not like it. I don't know if I did it wrong. Holly, you need to do a video and let me see you, but I did not like it. And I got a big old bottle in my pantry. Another thing they said you can't use is paraffin wax. I've never seen this. I've heard of it, but they said I guess back in the day, people used to take like their jams and jelly and seal it with the paraffin wax, and they're like, you can't do that. But I've never seen it. But I wrote it down. Is clear gel the same as sure gel? No. So sure gel is not safe for canning, but clear gel is. I believe sure gel is like a pectin. What, I'm googling it. Yes, sure gel is a pectin. So and you can add pectin to your jams and jellies. TT, have you canned sweet potatoes? I have not. I haven't canned sweet potatoes. I feel like I have, but I haven't. No, I haven't canned sweet potatoes ever. I bet they would be good too. I mean, girl, I'm just a baby canner, so I hesitate to make a video. I don't want to kill anyone. And I think, with candy, with anything, I mean, how many times do we say, do your own research? This is what works for me. What works for me may not work for you. We always need to go and do our own research. So I am planning over probably in June or July. I'll have to take off work. I can sweet potatoes and they are delicious. I feel like I need to can some sweet potatoes. But I will take a week off of work, which ain't no problem to me at all. But I want to do like a week of live canning videos. So I'm real interested to see what you all would like shown live. If you had your choice, what would you like to see canned live? I'm thinking probably like, depending on what it is, it might be too long for a live. Like if you do a quart of meat, well, that's 90 minutes. So, but if you guys got any suggestions on something you would like to see canned live, let me know and I'll write that down. Right now, I only have green beans. I need barbecue sauce, but I feel like barbecue sauce is going to take too long to cook down and everything. Out of spaghetti sauce already, out of salsa. I'm always down for some jams and jellies. Corn. We have corn and we have green beans, but I mean, they good. So I don't mind that at all. Me too. They turn out soft, but it's okay. I stopped canning white potatoes because I never liked the way the water came out. The water was just always too starchy and it never looked appealing to me. They're safe, but visually, they don't look good. I guess in case of an emergency, I need to make some emergency mashed potatoes. I can use those. But yeah, if anybody has any suggestions on something they would like to see canned live, see if there's anything else. So that's all for that book. Now I do, so they had you take a test before and after. And one of the questions, it said, what is the target organism for assessing the accuracy of the home canning process? Anybody know the answer to that? And then it also says, what are 4 causes of seal failure? So I put down not properly cleaning your lids, your rims and your lids, reusing lids. So it's been used once and you reuse it. A lot of lids are only single use only. Improper headspace. So your headspace was off, and either you had too much water in there where it's going to start to buckle, or not enough water in there and it's going to sink in. Just reading your comments. When I can white potatoes or Yukon Golds or red potatoes, I don't use the water the potatoes sit in. I use distilled water. Now, I didn't do that. So I did not use the water the potatoes sat in, but I used tap water. So maybe that was the difference. And I heard someone talking that when they can, they only use bottled distilled water. So maybe that was the difference too. Anne says maybe a chip in the rim of the jar. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing too. Feel around, feel around the rim of the jar. If there's any chips, you can't always see them. And I will even hold them up to the light sometimes because, like, you might see a hairline crack. So make sure you're checking your jars. And then processing time was off. Just double checking, see if there's anything else I need to share with you guys. And tomorrow we are going over dehydrating and fermenting. So I don't know if I'll be live tomorrow. I don't know how the class is going to go. I feel like dehydrating and fermenting may be a little slower, but we'll see. But I think that's it. Trying to see if there's anything else that I highlighted. So today I think I said we did half tomatoes and pressure canning, or no, we did half tomatoes and salsa. But because we had so many green beans left over from yesterday's class, we also finished off those green beans and we pressure canned the green beans. One of the canners there, because she had multiple kind, was a All-American. So I was excited about that. I've only seen All-American on TV or on YouTube. So I got to actually do it and crank, put your screws on and put the gauge on, and I was timing it and checking it. So I was excited about that. Only thing is it's heavy. I don't know if I want an All-American canner, pressure canner. It's heavy. So that's it. I have got everything. TT, we love your input anyways. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate the love, Tia. Many thanks. Thank you. So I think I'm going to call it an early night. Y'all, when I came into the hotel room, it was 80 degrees in here. The battery in the thermostat had died, and the guy had to come and replace that. So it's just now cooling off. It's 77 degrees in here, but it was hot. And then when I went to the bathroom, the water just kept going around and around. And I called them and I was like, this water is just going around for minutes, and there's water on the floor. And actually, by the time I called them, it had stopped, but I still wanted to let somebody know. So I called the front desk and I told them, I was like, it went around for about 2 minutes. And he was like, well, do you want to change rooms? I was like, no, not unless it happens again. But because there was water all on the floor, I'll clean the water up. And he was like, okay, well, let us know if it happens again. And he was like, just throw your towels outside. So I cleaned the water up. And I went to throw my towels outside, and then I got locked out the room. So then I had to go down. I had to go downstairs and come back up. This hotel was cutting up today, but I still made it in time. But I think I'm gonna get me something to eat. I don't have homework tonight, so I'm gonna get me something to eat and see if I can find a movie. Those All Americans are a beast. I can't hardly pick it up. And how big is your All American? Do you recall like what size it is? How much it holds? Mr. Y'all, that's Mr. He said, shaking my head. I know. Whew. It was hot. The toilet, I got locked out. 77. It does feel a lot better now, though. This room was hot. My hot surface light on my electric stove keeps flickering. Had to call for service and they can't come for 2 weeks. Wow, be careful. Our old stove, the light never went off. It just stayed on. I remember my little nephew, he was only like 3 or 4. And he was like, "You cooking, TT?" And I was like, "No, I ain't cooking nothing." He's like, "Well, why is the light out?" Boy, I said I wasn't cooking nothing. You silly, and I love you for it. Thank you. I love you too. Dang, you had a day. Get some grub. Yes, I'm gonna get some grub. And you need a refund. I know, Marcus. We need a refund. This room is defective. What was the fix for your stove? We had to get a new one. That stove slowly died. I don't remember the name of it, what kind of stove it was, but it slowly died. Like, whereas it should only take like 4 minutes to bring a little sauce pot up to a boil, it would take like 15. It was just doing all type of stuff. So before it died, we were very mindful that we were headed downhill. And actually, my husband and his dad went out. I think it was black. It was around Thanksgiving, but I don't think it was Thanksgiving Day. So it must have been the day before Thanksgiving. The day before Thanksgiving, they went out to buy me my new stove. And it was the day before Thanksgiving because we were doing our Thanksgiving the day before that I had went to cook Thanksgiving dinner. And that was the same day that it died. So we still had to be delivered and everything, but it was cutting up. And you know it's cutting up. It's not performing the way it was. It's got this is wrong with it. Now this is wrong with it. It's always something. So just be mindful and keep in the back of your mind, might be time for a new stove. Start looking for some deals. And I always say if you find a really good one, snatch it up. Yes, refund. But for real, that is all I have. If you guys have any more questions, let me know and I will ask. I've been picking their brains. One of the teachers is a judge at 4-H. So I was kind of asking her, I'm like, just looking at the green beans that we jarred, which one would be your blue ribbon? She kind of told me the things that she looks for. She's like, they don't taste anymore. They can't taste the product. But she was like, okay, that one's got some air bubbles in there and that water level is a little bit off. So it was very informative. I feel like I've learned so much. But definitely, if you guys have any more questions, let me know and I will ask. You can send me a message on my page throughout the day. I got my phone with me. Drop my book. I got my phone with me so I can see if you message me and I can always ask them a question. There's about 4 or 5 teachers in there. So there's always someone ready to stop and help you out. And it's like an open lab. So we're all just kind of walking around. Sometimes it's chaotic, but we're all just kind of walking around. It's very open and free and everything. So I've had a really good time. And don't forget that I would like to do a week of live canning. So if you think of anything later down the line that you would like to see can live, let me know. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.